Hey, In2Pickle, Tony here. What I want to talk to you about today is one of the red herrings in pickleball, which is the use of spins or the overuse of spins by a lot of players. And the reason I call it a red herring is because it's one of those things that it sounds attractive. It sounds like something that, hey, maybe I should get into that. Maybe I should learn how to spin the ball when I hit my dinks. And it's simply something that you do not need to know how to do to play pickleball. And in this video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain to you why you don't need it. And I'm going to show you some options that you can use in your game other than spinning the ball that'll be much more productive for you and not have the potential errors of spinning your shots. Let's get into it. Here, my friend Tony Crotch again is going to help me show you some of this red herring I was talking about. What I want to focus on here is I want to focus on the type of drilling that you should do and the type of drilling that we believe most players out there should not do, which is the overspin dink. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the dink as we suggest you should try and hit him, which is just a flat neutral dink. So I'm basically playing with Tony. All I'm doing is I'm basically just lifting that ball up, clearing the net, right? Giving myself enough clearance over the net, not doing anything fancy with it. And I'll show you in a second what you can do to make the dink a little bit more aggressive, if you will, a little more impactful in the point. But what you don't want to do for most players is you don't want to start using your wrist and cutting the balls. I was just talking to Tony about it because Tony is a high level player and he has a squash background, so he can actually cut the ball. He's not doing it for purposes of this video, so it doesn't, you don't see that. But for instance, a player like Tony, he can hit that cut like this over and over and over again. So for him, it's fine to do. For most players, it is not, because it introduces a high level of error into your game when you start bringing the wrist and the elbow into your shots. Let me show you what that looks like. So if I'm dinking with Tony and I'm trying to basically cut it like that every time, there's a lot more variables in that stroke. Why? Because now I have to worry about the wrist cutting the ball. So I'm using my wrist to cut it. The timing has to be perfect on these kind of strokes. Whereas this stroke here doesn't have those variables. This stroke here originates from the shoulder. The wrist and the elbow, they're not stiff, but they're not flexing. I'm not swinging them around, so I can nicely control my shots there without having to spin the ball and without having to add that additional potential for error. Let me show you now what you can do if you want to be a little more aggressive. So right now I'm just thinking to Tony, right? Nice and simple. But what I can do is I can take a flat dink just like this, and now I can move it over there. Right, make it move a little bit. I can move it over there. Sorry, Tony. So I can move it over there, and I can move. It's just a flat dink. I didn't spin either one of those dinks, but I'm creating pressure on Tony by just using a nice flat dink. Let me show you once more. So basically, I'm just dinking flat, but see, he has to move, right? And then I move him over there, make him stretch a little bit. Now I can move him over there. See, he has to move, right? These are all flat dinks. Nothing crazy. All I'm doing is flat dinks, right? But I'm still creating some pressure on Tony. To make him move and hopefully get a pop-up. Now, Tony's a very good player, so these are not going to stress him as much as they may some players. But for most players out there, 3-5 players, 4-0 players, if I start moving those players around like this, they're going to have problems, and eventually they're going to give me a pop-up that I can put away. So all those were flat dinks that I was able to just move Tony around and stress him. Let me show you another technique if you want to add some spice to your game. Other than slicing the ball or spinning the ball, is you can go like this. So Tony and I are dinking. I'm just doing a nice regular flat dinks here. No problems, right? No problems. I'm not missing. I'm just lifting him, right? Nice and simple. Nothing crazy. And then all I do, I go like that. And now Tony has to go back. I pull him off the line and I get him potentially in trouble. If I get it over his head, then he has to go back and reestablish his position on the court, and he's in a bad place. So I would rather if you want to add something to your game, instead of adding a big complicated stroke like this, would be to simply, thanks Tony, work on your dink so that you can hit. Tony and I, if we were going to flat dink like this, we can probably do this 200 times. We can probably just hit it over and over again. So if you can hit it 200 times in a row and you want to start working on spins, that's fine. But if you're not hitting it 200 times in a row, work on a nice compact stroke like this with your body weight in a good place. And then all you're doing is just feeding him in. And then eventually, if you want to, you just, whoops, that wasn't any good. So you're feeding him in like this. And then, what you do is you can add two things. I can start moving Tony around with just flat dinks, right? So I can flat dink it over there, right? And then I can move him over there, right? So he has to stress. And then I throw it up and try and get him off the line. That wasn't a very good lob, but you can work on that and get him off the line as a better technique than spinning the ball. Give it a try. Say that to somebody walking by one time where they were talking to me, and I'll put you at the end. I dipped them at the end of the video.
Did you? Yeah. In2Pickle, not a pickle. In2Pickle. Okay.
You don't want to be in a pickle. You want see the back of the shirt? Are you?
Oh.
Get it? See, now you remember. Now you're going to be like, I got it now.
I'll tell you.
I got the silly name now. Have a nice day, guys.